We talked about it. Carson Wentz coming into the weekend sold a lot of stock. Did I see Cowherd did a thing about like I am not selling my stock basically in Wentz?
Well, he crushed him for the backwards hat.
Oh, that's right. I did see that. But I'm out. I've been out. You know, everyone was tweeting Sunday about he looks terrible. We were texting about it. You saw a little more of that game than I did, I think.
6 picks, 3 games. 6 picks.
Well, we've been talking. If you've been listening to the podcast, you're not surprised that Wentz is throwing bad interceptions, right? In close games.
6.
Because the 2 he threw against Washington were awful. The one in the red zone he threw against
the Rams.
The Rams was terrible. So, but then he makes some plays late, and he scores a touchdown, and, you know, he's a winner. Did he redeem himself? They got some problems. And part of it is they're not overly skilled on offense, but, you know, when you flip it on, it's like, hey, whatever they do, they can't let Ertz beat them. It's like, well, you know, he doesn't have much. Ertz is good, but.
Yeah, I mean, their leading receiver was Greg Ward Jr., who was the college quarterback that they transferred.
Houston? Was that where he's from?
Yeah, Houston. And Dallas Goedert got hurt today, so he's out. And then you have I just think that Deshaun's hurt, of course.
Alshon.
I mean, that's what happens. Old Alshon hasn't played yet.
JJ, did he
Stinks.
play?
Yeah, I mean, he's just not any good. He didn't get a catch. That Carson's dealing with, you know,
his line stinks.
Yeah, I wouldn't say his gun has no bullets, but he's running low on ammo. Now, he's not helping it out. He played shitty. But, guy, like, you just can't turn the ball over. To me, if you're going to have a small margin for error, which they have. Like, look, the Niners have had that. You can't throw picks. Like, when Nick Mullins today, the reason they're winning easily with Nick Mullins is not turning the ball over. Carson Wentz, you're playing the Bengals, who aren't that good. That if you just don't throw picks, you probably win by 10 points. And to me, he's got this kind of gunslinger. And you didn't even see it at the end, which is why you like him, right? He's running around. He's diving. There were plays at the end of the game, which I respect him for this. They're getting their ass kicked. He started, I thought, just watching, like, the red zone carried that game, like, the last 5 minutes. He's lowering his shoulder, running guys over. And I'm thinking, like, my God. Now, granted, when he does lower his shoulder, the defenders go back. So he kind of just goes, fuck it. I'm going to go.
That's why he keeps doing it. Feels good.
Yeah, it works, but you got to, I would imagine Howie and Jeffrey up in the suite going, oh my God, we got 120 guaranteed to this guy. He's going to fucking break his clavicle again or his neck or his bone or something. And he willed them to overtime. But it was all just making plays with his legs. They got a problem, and it's not all him, though, right? Because to me, if he was playing with a full offensive line, full skill guys, and this was happening, it would be a big issue. But I do think they can internally justify it. Now, that doesn't help. They're 0-2-1. 0-2-1 with 2 bad losses and a tie to the Bengals,
who have the same record now.
And they got to play the Niners now. Now, if you're listening to this on Monday, we'll probably find out a lot more these next couple of days who's going to play for the Niners, because it's hard to assume, like, is Jimmy back? Is Mullins starting again? I'd assume Kittle's back. Sherman can't be back. Debo, we'll see. Like, the Niners do have some question marks, right? The team that we just watched today, they could just roll that back. Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility, right?
Yep.
And if you told me they just rolled back what we saw today, I'd say them and the Eagles probably like coin flippy game.
We were trying to guess. We haven't seen it yet. We should guess the line here. Because I don't think it'll be big. Like, in my head, I'm watching the end of the Eagles game going, are the Niners the lock of the week again?
I couldn't bet on Mullins against Philly if the line was like 6 or 7.
I'm with you, but I kind of feel like the line. No, but I feel like the line's going to come out. When we were texting, you guessed like 4.5. I feel like the line's going to come out somewhere around there, and then Garoppolo and Kittle are going to play, and it's going to be value. But I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. But my point is just,
if it's like 3.5 tomorrow, we should just immediately bet it.
Yeah, just hope that's what happens, right? But even then, the Niners are
Jimmy was on his feet. Jimmy was on his feet today, standing there. Are we sure that they just didn't want to risk it?
I think he could have played if he had to play.
Jimmy he has an ankle sprain, and he stood and watched the game. Think about that. He stood and watched the game. Yeah,
was he even wearing a boot or anything? They didn't show.
I don't know. I didn't see his leg. But you wouldn't make the guy fucking stand for 3 hours, right? He would sit.
Our buddy John Dickinson, who covers the Niners, has always used a great phrase that I stole and I use now, and it applies here. The Niners are just a more buttoned-down team than the Eagles are. The Eagles, because Carson makes mistakes, are just not buttoned down. Like maybe with Mullins, the ceiling isn't super high, but the floor's not as low as it is with Wentz. Can just kill you, absolutely kill you. And again, their line is I think their line's a major problem. Even before Jason Peters got hurt, I saw a tweet. It was like a bunch of Peters getting beat highlights, and it was like Peters is going to make the Eagles pay him again before he starts playing like a Pro Bowler. Like they got problems. So again, I don't know what the line is, but this is a winnable game for the Niners. If they're just a little healthier, it's a very winnable game.
Yeah. In theory, they should be healthier, right?
Here's the other thing.
There to come back.
Wentz, it's not like his team's getting healthy. They're winless. So in theory, he's only getting more desperate. In theory, he's only going to try and make more plays. Like it's hard, I think, when you are winless and you're pressing to go, okay, the key here is to stop pressing as much.
It's actually a bad matchup for the Eagles, too, because the Niners, while their D-line is not as good as last year, it's still pretty damn good, and they feast on bad offensive lines. Like, that's the one thing this group has done. You've seen it the last couple of weeks against the Jets and the Giants. Their randoms get pressure because they play one speed, just get up the field. There's not like two gapping, wash them this. It's just get up the field and cause havoc. Well, you got the Eagles' offensive line that just can't stay in front of anyone. Not ideal. Now, that's a tough matchup for them.
The counter would be he can't extend plays. And on the day that he doesn't throw 2 picks, he can be.
You wouldn't think he's going to throw 2 picks a game for the whole season, right?
No. You wouldn't think. They got Pittsburgh coming up, and then they got Baltimore after that. They have to win this game, Philly. Like, they must win this game.
Did Pittsburgh win today?
Yeah, they beat the Texans.
Beat the Texans, yeah.
So
I saw the go-ahead score, so they must have won 28-21 or something.
Juju. They picked off Deshaun late.
28-21,
Houston had an early lead in that game, but Carson's ceiling is like he could roll out a 375, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Like he can do that.
Yeah.
And can the Niners beat that performance? That's what I don't know. But
I think the 3 teams that really benefit right now from no fans, obviously the Jets and the Giants. I think the Eagles you could even put ahead of them just because their fan base expected them to be good. I mean, they have a max quarterback. They're 0-2-1. They've lost 2 home games.
Yeah.
Right?
The good news was they didn't lose the third. They tied. That's why you punt to preserve the tie, John.
Do you think the record, Doug Peterson's 3 punts in overtime, now it's a shortened overtime, right? It's 10 minutes. I don't think that'll ever be broken. 3 punts in overtime. What was your stat on the Niners today?
No punts in the game. How about them being in field goal range and then at the end of the game and then working their way out of field goal range?
That's a killer. We talked a little bit about this before we jumped on. Everyone's shitting on them for playing for the tie. If you remember, I was at the Monday night game last year, and remember the narrative after that game is like, Kyle screwed up, he got aggressive. The Niners-Seattle game that went to overtime is like, he should have played for the tie because Jimmy went 3 and out. Because they both punted like twice in overtime.
Yeah. They
got the ball back with like 2 minutes, remember? And Jimmy goes 3 and out. He like overthrows a couple balls, and Seattle got it back, game winning. And everyone was like, they should have played for the tie. But you're not really thinking that. I do wonder if they would have played for the tie and tied that game, that final game against Seattle wouldn't have happened. They would have had the division sewed up. Doug Peterson, if you wanted to defend them, their division stinks, and a tie is better than a loss, right?
Yeah, so he's at the 49 with 19 seconds left.
Because you would not have played for the tie if you were, for example, in like the NFC West. Because you're not getting to the playoffs at 0-2-1.
Yeah, that's
right?
a good point.
If you think, well, last year we won the division at 9-7. Quick check at the Cowboys. They're playing Seattle. The game hadn't happened yet, but you're probably thinking, well, they might lose that game. The Redskins lost. The Giants stink. You're not dead at 0-2-1. Now are you even dead at 0-3-1? If the Cowboys lose again?
Well, no, I would say the NFC East has taught us one thing. Like, everybody always feels like they're still in it, right? Yeah. The problem is just your schedule it's hard again the next week. And if you're not getting any better or any healthier, you just might not be good enough to overcome that.